Good morning, children. Today we are going to start the chapter 3 Fiber to Fabric. Paheli and Poojo won the first prize in a science quiz competition held at their school. They were very excited and decided to use the prize money to buy clothes for their parents. When they saw a large variety of cloth material, they got confused. The shopkeeper explained that some cloths or fabrics were cotton and some were synthetic. He also had woolen mufflers and shawls. There were many silk sarees as well. Paheli and Bojo felt very excited. They touched and felt these different fabrics. Finally, they bought a woolen muffler and a cotton saree. After their visit to the cloth shop, Paheli and Bojo began to notice various fabrics in their surroundings. They found that bed sheets, blankets, curtains, tablecloths, towels, and dusters were made from different kinds of fabrics. Even their school bags and the gunny bags were made from some kind of fabric. They tried to identify these fabrics as cotton, wool, silk, or synthetic. Can you also identify some fabrics? Yes, this lesson starts with the story Paheli and Pujo. They were friends. They were participated in a quiz competition in their school. They got first prize in that. So they wanted to buy clothes for their parents using their prize money. They decided to visit a cloth shop. In the cloth shop, they saw so many varieties of cloths. We are also visit the textile so many times, isn't it? When we go, we can see so many types of cloths and different types of cloth materials, right? And Paheli and Bojo also saw so many types of cloth materials. They were confused to choose the material. They asked help to the shopkeeper and he showed the materials and he explains that these are cotton fabrics, these are silk fabrics, these sarees are made by silk, and he shows some mufflers and shawls which are made by woolen fiber. Finally, Paheli and Bojo decided to buy a woolen woolen buffler and silk saree for their parents. After that, they went out of the shop and found so many fabrics in the outside. They saw some bed sheets, blankets, curtains, tablecloths, towels, and dusters. Are these made by same types of fabrics? No, these are not made by the same types of fibers. They were made by cotton, wool, silk, synthetic type of fibers. And Paheli and Pojo also confused with this and they tried to identify these fibers. So today we are going to discuss about the fibers and its varieties. Okay. Let us see the activity. Okay. Activity 1. Visit a nearby tailoring shop. Collect cuttings of fabrics left over after stitching. Feel and touch each piece of fabric. Now try to label some of the fabrics as cotton, silk, wool or synthetic after asking for help from the tailor. Do you wonder what these different fabrics are made of? When you look at any fabric, it seems a continuous piece. Now look at it closely. What do you notice? In the activity 1, when we visit a tailoring shop, we can see so many leftover materials, right? These are made up of different types of fabrics. With the help of the tailor, we can identify the type of fibers used. When you see the fabric, it looks like a piece of cloth only. When you closely see that, you can find that the threads are arranged together. Look at this picture. The threads or yarns are arranged together. Let us see the activity 2. Select a piece of cotton fabric you labeled in activity 1. Now try to find a loose thread or yarn at one of the edges and pull it out. If no loose yarns are visible, you can gently pull one out with a pin or a needle. We find that a fabric is made up of yarns arranged together. What are these yarns made of? In the activity 2, let us take a cloth and find a thread or yarn in one end of the cloth. Look at this picture. One end of the cloth. Using a pin or needle, remove the thread from its one end. And you can know that the threads or the yarns are closely arranged. Now look at the activity 3. Take a yarn from a piece of cotton fabric. Place this piece of yarn on the table. Now press one end of the yarn with your thumb. Scratch the other end of the yarn along its length with your nail as shown in figure. Do you find that at this end, the yarn splits up into thin strands? Look at this picture. Take one thread from the piece of cloth and press the one end and scratch the other end using a nail or something. The thread splits up and look like thin strands. Look like this. When you try to pass this thread through a needle, it is difficult to pass through it, right? Because the one end of the thread is splitted in thin strands. So it is difficult to pass through the ears of the needle. These thin strands are called as fibers. These thin strands are called as fibers. From these activities, we know that every fabrics, that means the cloth materials, are made up of threads or yarns. And the yarns are made up of fibers. Okay. You might have observed something similar when you try to thread the needle. Many a time, the end of the thread is separated into a few thin strands. This makes it difficult to pass the thread through the eyes of the needle. The thin strands of thread that we see are made up of still thinner strands are called fibers. And fabrics are made up of yarns, and the yarns are further made up of fibers. Where do these fibers come from? Yes, the fibers of some fabrics such as cotton, jute, silk and wool are obtained from plants and animals. These are called natural fibers. Cotton cotton and jute are examples of fibers obtained from plants. Wool and silk fibers are obtained from animals. Wool is obtained from the fleece of sheep or goat. It is also obtained from the hair of rabbits, yak, and camels. Silk fiber is drawn from the cocoon of silkworm. Yes. The fibers are classified into two types based on where they are obtained from. They are natural fibers and synthetic fibers. The fibers which are taken from plants and animals are called as natural fibers. The fibers which are obtained from the plants are cotton and jute. The cotton is obtained from the fruit of cotton plant, and jute fiber is obtained from the stem of the jute plant. And the fibers which are drawn from the animals are wool, silk, and wool is taken from the sheep, goat, and rabbits, yak, and camel. The wool and silk fibers are obtained from animals. Wool is obtained from the fleece of sheep, and also the hair of rabbits, yak, and camels. And silk is given by the silkworms. The cocoon of silkworms are obtained from the cocoon of the silk from the cocoon of silkworm. The silk fibers are obtained. And for thousands of years, natural fibers were the only one available for making fabrics. In the last 100 years or so, fibers are also made from chemical substances which are not obtained from plant animal sources. These are called synthetic fibers. Some examples of synthetic fibers are polyester, nylon, and acrylic. Okay. These natural fibers are used by the people for thousands of years. And nowadays, we are using some fibers which are made up of chemicals. These fibers are called as synthetic fibers. The fibers which are made up of made by the chemicals are called as synthetic fibers. These are polyester, nylon, and acrylic are some examples of synthetic fibers. And this polyester is obtained from coal, water, air, and petroleum. The polyester is used in making ropes, making nets, and jackets. And nylon is obtained from the fabric. Nylon is obtained from coal, water, and air. And nylon is used in the making of bags, seat belts, ropes, etc. And acrylic fibers are used in the preparation in the process of socks, sweaters, gloves, etc. And these are the types of fabrics. Today we have learned about what are the types of fabrics, what are fabrics. I hope you all are understand this. Thank you, students.